Welcome to the Nutty Nitty Sisters podcast, a podcast about knitting, spinning, and fiber-related creations. We're your hosts,
Julie
and Judith.
You can find us on social media as Nutty Nitty Sisters on Instagram, at Nutty Nitty Sisters on YouTube, and you can email us at nuttynitty-sisters@gmail.com.
If you're watching for the first time, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thanks for returning. We'd appreciate it if you'd click the subscribe button below so you don't miss any broadcasts.
Click that bell, you'll be notified as soon as new videos are loaded.
Now, grab your knitting, find a comfy spot,
And let's get a little nutty. Hi guys, I'm Judith, and
I'm Julie.
thanks for watching the Nutty Nitty Sisters podcast. This is our introductory podcast, just kind of going to introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about what's coming up for us before our first episode. So the first thing is we're just going to kind of introduce ourselves. So Julie, you can go first.
Oh boy. All right, so I guess a little about me is I'm a Grammy. That's the most important thing for me at this point. Married, have 4 or 5 kids, and plenty of little grandkids running around, so loving that. Knit history. So I started knitting probably 4 or 5 years ago. I had crocheted long time. Learned when I was just probably kindergarten or first grade. 4 or 5 years ago, she was the enabler.
I do it so well.
I just really liked knit fabric. I've always liked the feel of knit fabric. So I told her, you're knitting, you need to teach me knitting. So the good thing is she taught me to knit. The bad thing is the way she taught me to knit. I don't remember now what the project was, whether it was a dishcloth or a scarf, but I brought it over, and as she was instructing me and teaching me how to learn about the dynamics and the structure of a knit stitch, she decided she'd just take my needle out and tell me, pick up your stitches and knit.
You gotta learn how to knit drop stitches, right?
Yeah, that was my biggest fear. Every time I dropped a stitch, ripped the whole thing out because I didn't know how to pick them up. So she is the reason that I now have a bad habit. I love it. It's a good habit. And I guess my favorite item to knit I'd have to say socks. I really, really like to knit socks. Favorite fiber would...
That's hard.
That's a hard one.
That's really hard.
I like all the squishy, soft, and yummy things with cashmeres and alpacas and all those things in it. But I like a good, sturdy wool. And if I'm doing socks, of course, wool nylon blend. And let's see, a favorite notion.
The one notion you couldn't live without.
I could not live
if
without.
I took it away from you, you wouldn't be able to knit.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to go with stitch markers, because if you're going to do lace, you got to have stitch markers.
Now this question doesn't include needles, because obviously you need your needles.
Yeah. Well, I guess stitch markers would be it, because I got to have stitch markers too.
Yep.
And then if I had a dream knit destination, I have to say it would be Ireland. I want to go to Ireland and go to Edinburgh.
Oh, yeah.
I really would love to go to that festival. And we have a lot of heritage, Irish heritage.
Mm-hmm.
So it would kind of be a dual purpose thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you?
Me. Let's see. I have been married for 20 plus years. 27, I think we're going on. A long time. And I have 4 beautiful children and 6 grandchildren. I have a dog, a chocolate lab, and I have, how many chickens do I have? 6 chickens that are looking pretty sad right now because they're molting, and it's a sad thing. My knit history. So I learned how to knit. I was probably 10 or 11 years old. I found a set of my mother's old aluminum knitting needles, the straight with the little silver tip thing. and I wanted to learn to knit. So Mom taught me how to knit, just casting on and knitting back and forth, garter stitch. And I basically just, played. And I finger knit too. And then I got away from it for a really, really, really long time. Learned how to crochet when I had my babies, crocheted blankets for them. And like Julie, I just love the fabric of a knit. I love crocheting is fine. I love it. It's definitely, I still do it. It's got its applications and I still do projects, but knitting is my passion. I love it. So I actually kind of retaught myself how to knit when my youngest daughter was in the hospital. She was in the hospital when she was 12 having heart surgery. And I just needed something to take my mind off things. So I sat in the ICU and knit. And I've been knitting ever since. And I absolutely love it. I kind of got away from it again for a while. And you got me back into it last year when we went to Netty Spa. And I started knitting with, like, I call it good yarn, non-acrylic yarn. I love acrylic too. Again, I still knit and crochet with acrylic yarn, but like the wools and the alpacas and all the lovely things. I really got into expanding my yarn horizons. My favorite item to knit, that is really, really hard. I just recently started knitting shawls and I love them. I love how warm and cozy they are. I love the different shapes and varieties of shawls. Love me a pair of socks. The thing I love about socks is they can go anywhere, and I think that's why it would probably just eke out the shawl. I just learned how to knit sweaters for the very first time. I made a sweater. We'll talk about that later, but that's fast becoming, I'm loving that. And hats, colorwork hats. I made the Harriet hat recently and loving colorwork hats. And hats knit up so quickly. Oh my gosh. So, I guess all the things.
Yeah. Obviously.
Favorite fiber to knit. There I go. Favorite fiber. My favorite fiber to knit. I think my favorite fiber to actually knit with would, everybody's gonna think I'm crazy, but cotton. I do love a nice cotton yarn. I think it slides on needles really well. It's pretty easy to work with. But my favorite, like when it's all completed, is like a really rustic, like the real working wool. I love that real working wool, the big wool bulky boot socks and mittens and all the things. So that would probably be my favorite finished fiber. Favorite notion that I could not live without. I have to agree with Julie on the stitch markers. I don't think I could. You get into a complex pattern, you've got to have your stitch markers. I don't know if this would be considered a notion, but a good lotion bar. I am constantly dry fingers, and I think if I had to have one thing, if there was one notion, my lotion. My lotion notion.
What's our favorite one?
My favorite lotion notion? Oh. Our absolute favorite, which I don't have it out right now because my fingers are super dry right now. So I'm using a bar. It's a little easier just to have the dish on the table, but this is my favorite.
And we're not paid for this.
No, we're not paid for this. This is my favorite. Maker's Balm, by Twig and Horn. And my label fell off the cap, but, it is, what is it? What's the flavor? The flavor. What's the scent?
Oh, the scent. You want me to grab mine?
It's something in black spruce.
Yeah, something in black spruce.
What is it?
Is it rosemary?
Rosewood. Oh, look, it's right there.
Oh, rosewood.
Good grief. Rosewood and black spruce. I think it's the only flavor or scent. Not flavor.
Please don't eat it.
It's the only scent that they make, but it's so
I love it.
So dreamy, and it really is nice. When you put it on too, it's it soaks into the skin well, but it also kind of has staying power. Like,
And it's not greasy.
no, it's not.
Immediately not greasy.
Yeah, yeah. It grips the needles really well, which I love. That's why I'm constantly lotioning up, because when my fingers dry out, I can't hang on to my needles, and I don't like that.
Yep.
So that's my favorite notion. Dream knit destination. Gotta go with the Scotland, Ireland. I think I would like to go to Fair Isle. Fair Isle or Shetland. Those would be my, like, specifically either Fair Isle or Shetland. Probably Fair Isle over Shetland if I had to pick one. But I'd love to visit both. So
Let's just do them all.
the whole thing, the whole island.
Yeah.
And all the little islands around it.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Absolutely. When are we going?
When we win that million mega Powerball thing where you keep saying we're going to win?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about what we're wearing. Julie, what are you wearing?
I am wearing my Find Your Fade by Andrea Mowry. And I did mine in almost all main fiber.
Main fiber supply?
Yeah, main
One
fiber
Lupin?
supply, one lupin. Almost every color is from them. The one that is not is this last one here. This is actually from On the Round, and it's the Robin's Egg colorway. I cannot remember all the colorway names of all the others.
A lot. What is there, 7? Is it 7?
I think it's 7. I think it was 7.
I think it's 7.
Yeah. This is the color that was the inspiration color, because it's like practically my favorite color. And then I just built off of that.
Faded from there.
Yeah.
This is my favorite color of the shawl. This brown, coppery.
Yep.
Ugh. Love it. I am wearing the Surrey, I think it's called Surrey Lace Wrap. Let me see. Yeah, Surrey Lace Wrap. This is in the April 2019 edition of Creative Knitting. And this is the magazine photo. Surrey Lace Wrap. And the pattern called for a lace weight yarn. But I found at Good Karma in Charlotte, Maine. No, sorry. Dun Roving. They're my two favorites.
Yes.
Dun Roving in Charlotte, Maine. Yarn in the Box. The Crya Silk in the Stormy Surf colorway. It's beautiful. I have apparently 91 yards left according to the tag. But it's beautiful, super, super soft. It is more of a fingering weight, but it came out really, really nice. It's not really a wrap as much as the original design, but it's a nice, soft, squishy, scarfy. So that is what we're wearing. Julie, what are you knitting?
I am knitting the Super Simple Summer Sweater by Locatelli. My favorite designer. Fangirl, yeah.
Big fangirl.
Big fangirl. Now I've got my little tags in there, but I'll show you a picture. And I am knitting it in Barocco Codolana. Let's see, there's a picture of the sweater. So nice. I'm knitting it in Codolana, which is a wool cotton nylon blend. And this color is called Willow.
I love that. It's like a steel gray. It's so pretty.
And the other color is called Madder.
It does look a little pink on camera, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that's more true to color right there.
Yeah.
It's more of a lavendery.
Yeah. And so I am working on the last ribbing. Let's see if I can turn it right side up here. So I've got it down all the way to the last ribbing. That's the front ribbing all done. That's the back ribbing, and I'm almost there. And then I will be on Sleeve Island.
Yay!
Yay!
It's so pretty. I love the colors together.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what are you doing?
I am making a hot mess out of some mittens. So I found this. These mittens were inspired by the Heritage mittens.
Mm-hmm.
And where were they from? I forget.
That was Maritime Family Farms?
Maritime Family Farms, yeah. So they're inspired. I wanted to make them for my kids, and the pattern that I got from Maritime Family Farms was for adults only. They didn't have a child size. So I went to Ravelry and I found a children's Norwegian mittens pattern number 638. So this is what that pattern looks like. It's a free pattern. And I use that as sort of my inspiration for my cast on and sizing. But I'm using the chart pattern from the Heritage mittens. And I am knitting it with Done Roving. It's actually a discontinued yarn. She had it in a bin of discounted yarn at an event. And it's a Jacob wool. Is that what it is?
I think that was Jacob.
So this is for my granddaughter, who is a little tiny peanut girl. She is 2. And so I just kind of adapted it. There's my afterthought thumb going on. But this beautiful working red and green. So nice Christmassy colors for her Christmas mittens. And then I'm going to make her brother a pair that will be the reverse of this. It'll be green mittens with the red Norwegian star or snowflake. So that's what I'm knitting on. I knit them on an 8-inch circular, and now I am in the decrease and I've run out of room. So I'm doing them magic loop, and the shortest square that I have is this on this little tiny mitten. Yeah. So it's super tight, dense knit, and I'm having a really hard time with my knit twos together, but I will push through. So that is what we're knitting. What are we talking about next, Julie?
What are we talking about? So exciting. In 6 sleeps, we will be going to Rhinebeck for the first time. I just got goosebumps.
I know. We're so very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Really I didn't do many, I don't know about you, but I didn't do many like fiber events or, like even fairs or anything like that. Like I'm kind of an introvert. You wouldn't know it, but, like groups of people are really hard for me. But since we went to Nettie Spa, and where have we been? We've been to Nettie Spa.
Fiber Frolic,
which
is a main annual thing.
What was the one we did down in York?
I don't remember the actual name of it, but it was a Northeast fiber festival.
Yeah,
I can't remember the actual name
at the
of
York
Harbor Inn.
Yep. And then
we
did the yarn cruise. We did the main yarn cruise for the first time. This was the second annual, right? It was the second year they did the yarn cruise.
Second or fourth.
So we did that, which took us all over the state of Maine, and
awesome.
Went to a lot of shops, got a lot of yarn. So Rhinebeck is going to be a little overwhelming.
Yes.
But super, super fun. We're both looking very, very forward to it.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about our sweaters?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about our sweaters. Julie, what is your Rhinebeck sweater?
My Rhinebeck sweater is the super simple summer sweater I'm working on.
Julie is going to be...
I'm on the push.
wee hours on Sweater Island. On Sleeve Island.
No. I'll have it done. I'll have it done by Monday. Yeah,
you're really speeding along.
Yep, it'll be done by Monday.
My Rhinebeck sweater is all done. And it is, you can spend a weekend in Rhinebeck without the Weekender sweater, right? So, this is my Weekender by Andrea Mowry. my fangirl designer. Love you, Andrea. This is so fun that I had to knit it twice. Because Judy doesn't gauge swatch. I should say Judy didn't. She
Judy
does
has learned her
now.
lesson.
The first time I knit this, it came out really, really, really big. And I almost just said, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to wear it. But I decided to rip the whole thing out. I finished, blocked, and wore the sweater for an hour. And said, I can't do this. So I ripped it out and I knit it. And it came out lovely. It is knit in Noro Tennen. And I had to go down a size in the pattern, and I had to go down 2 needle sizes to get my correct size, correct gauge. But I think the reason I had to do that is the Noro Tennen, it's a merino alpaca and silk. And it's kind of a thick and thin yarn. You can see here there's some thick places there. So I think my gauge was different because it was not really a true worsted yarn. And I even reached out to somebody who on the Ravelry pattern page, her project, she said she used the Tennen yarn. And I even reached out to her, and she suggested that I go down a pattern size, but I didn't listen. So, there she is. There is my Rhinebeck sweater.
Yes.
So that's our sweaters. What are we doing on Friday when we first get there, Julie?
Friday is going to be amazing. We're actually volunteering.
Yes.
At the first ever Rhinebeck Yarn Bazaar. This is going to be at the Parish Hall.
What was
the address?
I had it.
Okay. Anyway, there's going
6436 Montgomery Street in Rhinebeck.
Yep. So nearby.
It's from 2 to 6.
Yep. Friday the 18th, 2 to 6. This is being hosted by Tink Knit and Kristy Glass, and it's going to have 18 vendors at least, I know, and they're going to have live music, they're going to have food, they're going to have libations, lawn games. It's going to be really fun, and we are very much looking forward to volunteering.
Yes.
Yes. The truck. What's the truck that's going to be there?
What's the name of the truck?
Yarnbyrds? Is it Yarnbyrds?
I don't remember.
I think
You've
it's
done more
Yarnbyrds
research
truck.
on this. I'm just the transportation. I'm just driving.
I think it's called the Yarnbyrds truck. And they're going to have 3 or 4 people, I think, that are having trunk shows there. So the truck will be in the parking lot.
Fun.
Yes.
And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday will be at the Dutchess County Fairground for the New York. We say we're going to Rhinebeck.
Yes.
But it is the New York Sheep and Wool Family Fun Festival.
Yes.
And that is October 19th and 20th from 9 to 5 on the 19th and 9 to 4 on the 20th. So looking very forward to it. Spending the whole weekend down there. No kids, no grandkids, no husband, just knitting.
And speaking of knitting, what are you taking to work on?
I am taking everything. My bag is bigger than me.
You have a Prius, you know? we can't literally take everything.
I know. But I'm going to try. No, I'm definitely taking a pair of socks. I'm trying to knit socks for all of my children that will wear my socks. That are knit-worthy.
Knit-worthy.
Should I say that? So I've got a pair of socks that I've already finished one daughter. I've got to finish the other daughter's socks. So I'm probably going to take that. It's probably going to be the easiest thing to knit. I can knit it without thinking of socks. And then I am taking a project that I'm working on for Done Roving, and it is called, pardon me for a moment, I can never remember the name. It's a lengthy name. It is the... I was not as prepared. No, hold please. It is the, I think it's New Saints Rest New Brunswick shawl. Saints Rest New Brunswick shawl.
That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. And I'm making it in Done Roving. There's the tag, Done Roving, and the Great Gradients Opulescent colorway. And I have a color photo somewhere. Good gravy. There it is. Okay. So this is, yeah, this is the pattern, or this is the photo. So it's a beautiful, got a lace edge and a lace panel down the middle. So you do the panel first and then the sides. I'm about half done with it.
Yeah, you gotta hold it up. It's gorgeous.
It is pretty pretty. It is. I can find the right side. This is the right side. So that is what I've got done. And then I've got to do, I'm on the first panel of the other side. What have I got hanging off of there? A DPN. So this is going to be my, when I find a quiet place.
Yeah.
Because it takes a little more concentration. It's a lot of lace work. So that's what I'll be working on in quiet moments. And then I'll have the socks. I also have dreams of grandeur and taking a sweater I want to cast on for my husband. And the March hat from the 12 Months of Hats collection on Ravelry. I can't remember who does that, but
Don't know.
I'm taking the March one because it's October and I've only got January and February done. So those are the things I'm taking. And then, of course, extra bags to haul all the things back.
Mm-hmm.
What are you taking with you to work on, Julie?
Well, my, I guess we'll call it focused knit. I'm also knitting a sample for Done Roving. I am going to knit the Deliverance shawl. Let's see. There it is.
So
It's
pretty.
beautiful. It's by, forget it. Leedra Scott. And it is really, it's an amazing shawl. It won't fall off. The shoulders are shaped, so the shoulder shaping that it hugs your shoulders, so you don't have to worry about it falling off.
It's so pretty.
This will be the most adventurous knit I have done yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I've done a little bit of lace with a couple other shawls, and I really do like it. I just have to be focused when I'm knitting it. So that will be the quiet time. And I'm also working on the John Arbin Textiles knit along. And I'm working on the Boyd hat out of their annual. I guess it's a magazine. Is that what you call it? So the Boyd hat, which is some color work, which I like doing that. And I will probably have a pair of socks in process.
Always.
Or I always like having socks. So that'll be my
That's our
goodies.
projects.
Unless I acquire something that just can't wait to jump on the needles.
Which I'm sure will happen. I'm sure will happen.
I am sure.
I'm having a devil of a time with my knit twos together here.
A little tight?
Yeah. Tight's the understatement of the century.
So, we do have some priorities when we get there.
Yes.
Things that
Our
must-haves, must-dos,
3.
whatever. Yes.
I mean, let's be real. We really have a list of about 37.
Oh, yeah. I have
1,000.
the map printed out so that I can get all of our logistics in place. I've printed the vendor list in building order. I've printed the vendor list in alphabetical order. I've highlighted the booths I must get to. She's going to highlight the booths she must get to, so
I'm
I can
following
coordinate
her.
this.
I'm just following her.
I have to have organized chaos.
She is so organized. You should see the table in front of us. I have like, it's everywhere. She's got everything in nice little stacks and neat and yeah. Yep. We are sisters. And that we're alike in so many ways. We're so different in so many others.
Yeah. Yeah. We can complete each other's sentences. That happens
We can.
often.
Yep. Usually at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
In stereo.
In the same pitch.
Yep.
We often laughed very similar.
You've probably
yeah.
noticed that already in the
Yeah.
podcast that we knit.
Probably.
We knit. We laugh very. We actually knit completely opposite too.
We do. Yep.
I am throwing now because on small little tiny things like this and with my little circulars, I do throw, but normally I'm a picker and you are only a thrower.
Only a thrower.
So we are definitely opposite in many, many ways, but very similar in others.
Yes. So what are your must-gets or must-sees, must-dos?
My must-gets. So I'm in search of a yarn bowl. I had always been a center pole knitter, and in some things I am if it calls for it, but like with the gradient that I'm doing the shawl for, I'm pulling from the center because that's the way it's supposed to be knit. But otherwise I'm an outside of the ball knitter, and that was because I watched the Andrea Mowry how to hand wind your yarn on your thumb, and I do find the outside of the ball a little less yarn vomity, a little less tangly. So I want a good yarn bowl. I want something that whether I'm using a small ball of yarn or a big ball of yarn, the bowl will accommodate it. So I'm in search of just the right yarn bowl. That's my number one. What's your number one?
My number one is Malahos booth. I must have a gauge ring. Must have.
I might have to have a gauge bracelet.
Yes, she has new gauge bracelets and they are amazing. If you check her out on Instagram, she actually did a couple of short videos and she debuted those bracelets. They're beautiful.
And Kristy Glass
So
had them
functional.
on her guide, her YouTube guide video. She did the bizarre guide thing. And she showed the bracelets and I might have to have one.
I think there's two different link styles for the bracelets, but either one of them, they're link bracelets. So you can attach your progress keepers to your bracelet if you'd like to have it be a charm bracelet as well. Really exciting.
Yeah, I'm not a huge ring person, but I can do a bracelet.
Yeah. What's your number two?
My number two is the Tink knit booth. I've got to hit up the Tink knit booth. She has the ale hat kit with the Rhinebeck Love Bus by Knit House Yarns. I'm still learning all the players in this game. But yeah, I love that Rhinebeck Love Bus colorway, and the two solids that she has paired with it to make that ale hat is just so beautiful. Yeah. That may have to be one of my cast-ons while I'm there. Yeah. Because it's so pretty. I think
it's a definite possibility for
I
me too.
love that teal and that deep red. I'm in love. Yep. So that will be my number two for sure. What's your number two?
My number two is to visit Tanny Casey. She makes project bags that are just absolutely amazing. And I happened to notice on her Etsy store that she had a print that I've been watching for because I have a DPN holder or yarn needle cozy, I guess some folks call them, in this cute little yarn print. Should have brought it with me.
Yeah.
And she had a drawstring project bag with the same fabric. So definitely meeting up with Tanny to get my drawstring bag.
Yeah. And again, that may have to be something that makes its way into my bags. Because
she has the amazing bags.
I know. And I don't have any, like, my bags are like Goodwill finds and canvas bags that I get at yarn events and things like that. I don't have like a real like project bag. So that may have to be a thing.
Anything that has a bottom and sides, I consider to be a project bag.
Yep.
I will throw that knitting in anything.
Yep. That is true. I think
I do like the good ones. The really nice ones are a treat. I've
got an old diaper bag that I put a sweater in once.
Yep. Number 3.
Good Karma. So Good Karma Farm is a local farm. It's actually only about 30 minutes from my home. And I've been there several times. But I'm looking them up in Rhinebeck. Absolutely. Because I was there with my grandkids. Oops, there goes a ball of yarn, not surprising. I was there with my grandkids a while ago, and I got some of their worsted. This is one of their worsted yarns, and it smells. It smells sheepy, and it is so super squishy soft. And I can't remember who. I was listening to a podcast and they said something about, on iTunes, there is a audio podcast called Maine Yarns. It's 2 girls from, I can't remember their names. I just started listening to them. They're from the Portland area. And they talked about getting some of the Good Karma worsted and getting a sweater's quantity and making a sweater because they saw a sample sweater there and it was so squishy soft. And this yarn is the best. I got these to make mittens, and it is so amazing. When I got this yarn, along with 3 other skeins, let's be real, because you don't just buy one skein, they were dyeing up some beautiful new colors they had hanging on the drying racks, and gorgeous burgundies and great fall colors. So I'm really looking forward to the new colors that Good Karma has, and there may be a sweater's quantity coming home with me. Yeah. I'm gonna go all the way to Rhinebeck to get yarn I can get 35 minutes down the road.
Hey, it's okay. You know what you like.
Yep. What's your third, Julie?
My third, I guess there is an acquisition involved in there. Yes. There are several different. They're called Tales of Yarn Talks. Several different authors that are going to be doing these Tales of Yarn Talks, and the must-see that I am going to Sunday at 10:30 with Clara Parkes. She's a Maine girl, and her new book, Vanishing Fleece, just came out recently, so I would like to get that there and get it signed if she would. Yeah, we talked earlier before we started recording that I may need to get on Amazon and get me that book. So I have it, because if she goes, I go. I'm just the follower. And I'm not going empty-handed. So that is our Rhinebeck pre-game, I guess. Yeah.
So we're actually going to start our very first official episode with all the segments and things. When we return from Rhinebeck, we'll do a little Rhinebeck review, share with you our thoughts, our experiences, and what we hauled away from the place. So that'll be our very first official episode. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about kind of what our format's going to be, what you should expect. You should expect mayhem and foolishness.
Yes.
And will we stay on topic? Nope.
There is a high probability of deviation.
We call it squirreling.
Yes.
We squirrel
Yes.
frequently.
But we will try. We will at least have an agenda.
Yes.
And
Whether we stick with it.
attempt to stick to it. Yes.
So there's several segments that we're going to that we've kind of decided that we'd like to feature in broadcasts, and we've given them clever, nutty names.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they may not be featured in every episode, but they could be. There'll be a sprinkling of nuts, if you will.
Yes.
So the first segment or ingredient that you might find in our podcast is our finished objects, which we're going to call
Devoured nuts.
devoured nuts. So these are nuts that we devoured. We absolutely finished the object. We will show you that devoured object, the devoured nut, if you will. So that will be our finished object segment. And then what's our next one?
Our next will be, and it might not be in this order, but
Right.
these are different segments we would like to include if we have them, is our whips in progress. And what are we going to call that one?
Mixed nuts. It's like a bag of mixed nuts.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get.
That's right. That's right. Ooh, chocolate covered nuts. I just thought of a box of chocolates and nuts.
Yeah, chocolate covered nuts.
Ooh.
That could be this one.
Oh. Yeah, stay tuned. We may have a new segment.
Yes, this is open for edit for sure.
And what's the next one?
It's going to be frogged items. So things that we didn't quite devour and we had to frog them.
Or took taste and just wasn't to our liking.
Wasn't having it.
Yeah.
And what's that going to be called, Julie?
Chopped nuts.
Chopped nuts. Oh, look what a hot mess I just made in my hair.
What else?
The next one is, I take my glasses off to read it because I can read better without them, right? New buys. So the new acquisitions, the new things that we are bringing into our homes. We're going to have a lot of that next podcast, I think. Yeah. And what is that going to be called?
Gathered nuts.
Gathered nuts. We need to gather up those things.
That's right. And then we have a category we're going to devote to those naughty items that we were putting in timeout.
Timeout.
So we have to call those.
You have to do this because this is your favorite.
Oh, this is my favorite. These are going to be our moldy nuts.
Moldy nuts. Moldy oldies.
Yes.
You stick those suckers in the back of the cupboard and let them mold. That'll be the timed out projects.
Yes.
Not ready to throw them in the garbage yet.
No.
Not gonna frog them. We're not gonna chop them. We're gonna let them mold.
Yeah. And then we have those projects that have just captured us, entranced us, must do, want to do, have to do, the dream projects. And those are going to be our
Craved nuts. Those are the ones you just can't get enough of.
Yes.
You know, when you have the mixed bag of nuts and you pick all the hazelnuts out. Because that's your craved nut, right?
Yep.
And then the last nut, if you will, is products to review. So they may not necessarily be knitting related, but just things that we just absolutely love. You know, how you get that, I don't know, you get that toothpaste that's just like it's the best toothpaste on the planet and you got to share it with all your friends. That will be our recommendation or recommended products. And that will be called...
Could be anything, so it is mixed nuts.
Nope. Mixed nuts is whips.
Oh my goodness.
Products is
Nut dish.
Nut dish. We can't even keep it straight yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yes.
So that'll be like our different segments, the different things that we're going to be talking about and going over with you guys and sharing with you. So before we leave, one thing I forgot to write down, we probably should have done this in the beginning, is why are we doing this podcast?
Oh.
Why are we putting ourselves out there on the YouTube?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's, I hate to speak in public. So if everyone was standing in front of me right now, there is no way that I could do this. And I was also kind of told I'm doing it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No, but I think it will be fun. It will push me out of my comfort zone, that's for sure. But I like to talk about things that I love. And I love knitting. So I'm all for it.
So I am doing this because I have long been a fan of many different podcasters. I honestly didn't really get the whole podcast thing until I started watching and listening to them. I needed something just to keep my mind and to keep my focus at work. So I'd listen to audio podcasts, and then I found this thing on YouTube. But holy cow, they've got podcasts on YouTube. What? And they're knitting. And so I would sit and watch and knit. And my very first podcast, and again, I'm going to have a fangirl moment here. Amber from Yarn Hoarder podcast. I adore you. You are the cutest thing on the planet. You're an inspiration. You're such a sweet person. And watching you podcast, and then Mina and the Grocery Girls, and all the wonderful people out there podcasting, I thought that looks like a heck of a lot of fun. And it gives me the opportunity to share something that I absolutely love, knitting and fiber creations. And so I just thought, why not? It looks fun. I'm with her. Like, I don't like to talk in front of people. And I wouldn't be able to do this alone. So I did indeed drag her into this. It's way more fun, I think, when you have somebody to kind of interact with. So
The bruise is almost healed.
Yeah. Her arm was in a sling for a day or two. So that's that. We just decided that if we're going to Rhinebeck, why not have that be our lunch date? So here we are. That's what's happening.
Yes.
So I think that just about covers it. So anyway, thanks so much for joining. I think we're done, right?
I think so.
I think we've said all we need to say. So thanks for joining us today. If you stuck through the whole video, you're amazing.
We really appreciate you spending time with us.
Yeah. And to follow us individually on social media, where can we find you, Julie?
I'm Jules Larrabee on Ravelry and Larrabee Julie on Instagram.
And I am Nana's House 15 on Ravelry and Nana's _house 15 on Instagram. So until next time, stay nutty and keep knitting.